So I made a poll on Twitter, and here is the result. Resoundingly, you guys wanted the Eclipse to be done today. So I'm going to explain to you one simple fact about my channel. I don't fucking care what you want. I want to do what I fucking want to do. This isn't democracy. This is a benevolent dictatorship. I will benevolently fucking tell you what I'm gonna do. And that's how it works. So I'm doing both. Here's the Eclipse footage. So I don't know how well you can see this. There it is. Probably can't see shit but a giant fucking glare. I can see it though. Well, it's like 1:30. Come back in a half an hour ago or so and see what it looks like then. So it's about 2:30 now. It's actually enough that if you look at it really quick with the naked eye, you can really see that about a quarter of, well, maybe even a third of the sun is gone. I don't know what you're gonna see on camera though, but I'll run it through some filters and whatnot and we'll see what we get. And now it's 3 o'clock and it looks like it's getting lighter out. I think that's pretty much all I got. There you go. And now, Riley and Queer Kid Stuff.
Hey everybody, today I'm here with
Lindsay.
Yeah, she has a really great channel called Queer Kid Stuff. And today I just kind of want to talk about LGBT plus stuff and talking about that stuff with kids and like, is that an appropriate topic and all of that stuff.
This fucking shit, man. Every time I want to be like, boop.
Can you just tell me a little bit about your channel and what you do?
Yeah, okay, so I do LGBTQ plus education for kids, ages 3 and up pretty much, so it's like all ages content.
3 and up. 3 and up. Fucking, I don't understand. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Maybe I think children should be allowed to be children. Maybe I think that children should be protected from the big bad world until they get of an age to understand it. And I think they are of that age when they get to the point that they begin to understand things. Like, you know, when you started to understand shit. Like when you got life experiences all of a sudden. And you know, you went to your father, or maybe your father came to you, or mother, or whatever. And what's going on, kid? Oh, this life experience happened. Eh? Fucking that shit happened to me once. And I told you it happened to you. And look at that. And then you go, fuck. I don't know shit. And then you realize you don't know shit anymore. And that's when you begin to grow as a person. And that's when you begin to really find out what the fuck's going on. Isn't that what everybody else went through?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I've kind of I used to do it in theater, and then I kind of transitioned into digital platforms with the work that I was doing. The biggest thing...
Jesus Christ. Can you hear fucking Fiona in the background? Just loud. Why do girls have to be so fucking loud all the time?
For me is about media representation for children, about just general diversity and inclusion.
General diversity and inclusion. That's not really what you do. Isn't really general diversity and inclusion what you do. That's not really what you do. Because that's more like, hey kids, there's going to be different people you're going to run into. And they're pretty much going to be the same as everybody else. They're just going to look different. But that's it. Just people. Like, That's kind of preaching diversity and inclusion. Is to just be like, that shit don't matter. They look different. Huh? And there you go. Like, I don't know. I always got it as a kid, so I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you guys.
Just showing the world kind of as it is with all the different colors and identities and humans that live in it, and making sure that, you know, content right now is so focused on what's like normalized.
That's because normal is what you want. Like, the people that really go out there questing for abnormal is you guys. Everybody else wants normal. Because it's normal. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that you're choosing to do this. I'm just saying that you're choosing to make this so much a part of your life. Now, I know a lot of people that are just people traveling through the world. Because that's normal. Even if they're gay or trans or whatever, they're just people. Moving through life. Going to work. Contributing. Doing their fucking thing. They don't care about all this shit. That's normal.
And that really feeds into children's content in like a very pervasive, overwhelming way.
Oh, yeah.
And diversity is hard to come across in children's content.
Not really. Especially not nowadays. Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, I mean, and fucking, why do you need to make an issue of it? At all. It was never really made an issue of to me. I remember, you know what? I remember the one, okay, alright. I remember, my mother, we were driving in the car, remember it like it was yesterday. We're going up my street, and my mother, for whatever reason, she told me that somebody had burned a cross on one of the neighbors' lawns. It was like, that was the lawn where they burned the cross. Why the fuck my mother told me that? I don't know. But I was like, why did they do that? Did they not like God? And she's like, no, they didn't like black people. And I was like, well, that doesn't even make any sense. And she's like, yeah, I don't understand it either, but when people don't like people, they do crazy things. And that was the extent of the conversation. And I've lived the rest of my life not being a racist. So I don't know. It's a weird conversation to have. And it's got to be different for everybody because everybody's different, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, it's generally hard to come across in any content.
Yeah. But one of the things I've noticed in a lot of media is like even when it becomes okay for like two men to kiss on screen or two women to kiss on screen in a adult show or in like not like in just a regular TV show or whatever, it's still inappropriate for that to happen in a kids show.
It's inappropriate for anybody to be kissing anybody in a kids show. Shouldn't be kissing people in kids shows. Because that's creepy. It's weird. Why you want everybody to be kissing in kids shows, Riley? You want all sorts of weird things. I don't understand. I don't think you think before you speak. Why do you need to have people kissing in kids shows, Riley?
Yeah.
It's like people are able to be like, oh, this is okay, but just not for children. It's like they've kind of accepted it, but not really.
Yeah, I think it's very tied to this like stigma around queerness and the fact that if you're talking about queerness with children, that you have to explain queer sex to children. And that's just, it's this huge misconception.
When you're talking about queerness, what is it that makes queer people different from other people? Who they choose to have sex with. That's it. That's all it is. Some people dress different than other people. But all sorts of people dress different than other people. Doesn't really make us different. A lot of people wear different hairstyles. Doesn't really make us all that different. Just makes us unique. Whatever. All sorts of that shit. But when it gets down to who you are and are not willing to fuck, that's where we begin differing. Like, that's where shit starts to separate. So, what's the difference between a man and a gay man? The gay guy wants to fuck the man, or at least would be willing to if had to, and the man doesn't want to fuck the gay man. That's the only difference. Other than that, they're the same. Still just people. I mean, different in different ways, but still relatively the same. There's a big difference. That's a big difference. That's a glaring difference. It's not like saying, well, this guy works at Starbucks and this guy works at Java Joe's. Well, okay. But that dude can get fired from fucking Starbucks and work at Java Joe's with the other guy tomorrow. But I think it's going to be really tough for the guy at Java Joe to wind up fucking the Starbucks dude if the Starbucks dude ain't down with it. You see, like, how there are differences. There's all manner of differences, but a shit ton of them don't fucking matter as much as, no, you can't suck my dick. Like, you get it? So, whenever you're talking about queerness, eventually it gets to sex stuff. Because you can't just go, well, gay people are like normal people, but different. Different how? Well, they wear different clothes sometimes, but not always. And they wear their hair different sometimes, but not always. Well, what do they do that's different always? Well, right!
That children equate sexuality with sex, because here's the thing: is that children don't know what sex is. They're not coming at queerness from that context, which is the context that adults are coming from, and like why a lot of queerness is like taboo is because your like sex looks different for.
The reason why it's taboo is because sex is a taboo subject to have with children 3 and above. God damn it!
Adults who are queer versus
I think like, people just sexualize queer people in general. Like it's like
definitely
like the only really truly definitive thing from queer people and straight people is who they're willing to have sex with. Could that maybe it? I mean, I'm just saying, maybe.
With children, you can be like to a 3-year-old girl, you can be like, oh, she's gonna like have a strong boyfriend someday, or like she's gonna be such a princess when she grows up.
Yeah.
But like, and it's like really gendered stuff, but it's also like about their sexual orientation. It's like saying,
really? Oh, she's gonna be a princess someday. That means that she's gonna fuck a lot of dudes. Like that's how that works out in your mind? Like that's what they're saying? It's very gendered, but at the same time, it's setting their sexual preferences. Really? Because I read some books with some princesses that did a whole lot of different things. So, I guess it's the level of adultness in your content.
the people they will date in the future, and that's okay. But if it's the other way around, then it's like you're sexualizing them.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Because man, it isn't your choice to discuss this shit with my kid for me. And it isn't your place to fucking make my kid want to ask me questions about this shit long before they need to be worrying about this. Or just random events in the world will decide when it's appropriate to talk to my kid about this kind of shit. And I don't think 3 is appropriate. I don't think 12 is appropriate. You know what I mean? Like, fucking kids, man. Let them be kids until the shit starts to really dawn on them. And then you sit them down and go, what's going on, man? You gotta be good parents and keep open dialogue with your children. And then guess what? They'll come to you with these things. Or at least fucking work hard enough to break through until they do. Why does everybody feel it's their place to raise my kid for me? Fuck you.
And what's important about it is that like kids understand the two things that are important about sexuality and identity, which are gender and love and romance.
Yeah.
And
kids don't understand romance. and they understand love as in my mommy says she loves me, and I love my mommy. It's a reflection of a term that they don't really quite grasp the full nature of. Because they have no concept of any emotion other than love. Hopefully, because they're children, and that's what they need to grow and be nurtured. And I think they just had bad parents. That's what I think it is. I think they just had bad fucking parents. They did. I think they were both touched. I'm not making any accusations. That's just a thought in my head, but I don't know. It's pretty textbook.
And connections with humans and empathy.
Yeah.
Kids understand those concepts, and
Kids don't really understand empathy. They know when you're sad and you're crying, they get that it's sadness. It's instinctual. It's they don't understand the empathic relationship of, well, now I feel sad. They don't get that. At least not at 3. You know, I mean, come on. They're just beginning to realize that those things exist in differing ways. And they're still not even going to remember it when they're fucking 10. So, what? It's like I want to touch them before they're of age. And it's so creepy. I want to touch their little minds. That's what it is to me. It's so goddamn creepy.
you can talk about queerness in terms of those ideas, and sex doesn't have to be a part of the conversation.
You should, when you're talking about dealing with children in any form, you should never, ever make a statement that needs to be qualified with, and sex should just never even be a part of the conversation. Because you're already treading on very fucking thin ice. Like, God damn it, leave the kids alone.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know, that's kind of what I try and do on the channel, is like bring these ideas that can be so complex and like heady and confusing to adults, and show that they can be very simplified and they can be understandable from like a 3-year-old's perspective.
It's because they understand all they need to understand about it. That's why it's like they understand it so well. Because they don't fucking need to give a shit. And they don't care. They want to play. They don't want to sit down and learn about fucking really complex, heady fucking subjects. They want to play. They want to have fun. They don't want to sit and fucking share their goddamn feelings with you. Weirdo.
And like that it's not a hard thing to wrap your brain around.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things when we talk about sexuality is like people focus so much on sexual attraction and not on romantic attraction.
Yeah, I think it's strange too that whenever we're talking about sexuality, we don't talk about romance. Why is that? Fucking shit.
And forget that, like, oftentimes gay people or bisexual people are also, like, biromantic or homoromantic or whatever. And, like, it is about love a lot of the time and not just sex.
What is that even? This is a totally new one to me. Every time I watch a Riley video, I gain new grammar. It's like school. Oh my god. What is biromantic? Is that like you only have sex with women, but you're willing to have romantic relationships with men? What does that even mean? I don't even get what that means. That's your buddy. Like, if you're really good friends with him, but you won't fuck him, that means he's your best friend. Like, it doesn't mean you're biromantic. What is wrong with you, Riley? You just need to slap every fucking label on a motherfucker you possibly can. I don't get it.
Yeah, I worked on a video on like defining what asexual is, and that was really interesting to talk about for children, because I did have to like avoid sex because I'm not.
Yeah.
So you had to avoid sex to explain asexuality. Well, and those are people that just don't have sex with people. So that should have been the easiest one to avoid sex. God damn it.
It's not appropriate.
Yeah.
It's also like sex doesn't concern children. It's not something they need to know about. I mean, like reproduction is important for children to understand because babies are in 3-year-olds' lives.
Because babies are in 3-year-olds' lives. Not in every family. It isn't your fucking choice to tell my kid about reproduction. Man. What does that even mean? Because the kid is a baby, there's a baby in its life? But, well then, there's a man in my life, everybody. It's me. Like, fuck, really? Jesus. An Olympic display of gymnastics going on here.
And that's something that can be conceptualized on their level. But you don't need to talk about sex with kids. Like, it's just not necessary. There's sex ed topics that should be talked about. Like, I did a consent episode. I thought that was important. But when in my asexual episode, I basically talked about asexuality as aromanticism, and talking about like kind of different kinds of love. So looking at like platonic relationships and looking at romantic relationships, and then kind of using a metaphor of like kissing for sex.
Is that why there was so much kissing in that video?
Yeah.
So it's definitely
because it's like simplifying things for children. Like it's trying to just bring it down to that level so that they can understand. Like they don't know like attraction and all that. They know like liking people and like not liking people or whatever.
I don't know. It's like they're just repeating all the things that they want you to hear them saying. You know what I mean? The kids should, because you shouldn't talk about sex with kids. I mean, you really, really shouldn't talk about sex with kids. So in the one video where I was talking about asexuality, I said kissing, and I meant that as sex. Huh?
Yeah, and there was so I came up in like theater for young audiences, and so I had this fantastic playwriting teacher, this professor of mine in undergrad, who always told me to write children's content from under the doorknob. So like looking at it, like looking at the world from a perspective of like smallness, like because children are just little people.
I don't think you understood what he meant. When he said that, he wasn't talking about height. Like, it wasn't like just write it from the perspective of some person that's an adult but yet is short. Write it from the perspective of a child that doesn't know shit. Get it? Like, they're not just little people. They are, but they're not just little people. They haven't really become people yet. They're little hopeful people, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.
And people just like forget that children are also humans with brains and like capabilities and autonomy. So it's a
autonomy. Man, I still don't feel like I actually have autonomy of any sort. I did for a while, but fuck, I still don't really feel like I have any sort of autonomy. What the fuck you mean, autonomy? Especially not as a fucking kid. What? Every goddamn decision was made for me. What?
About respecting a child's brain as having the same capacity as an adult's, just without the experience.
One of
Yeah, they have the same capacity as adults, but without the experience. It's very important to have some experience. 3-year-old, no experiences. Really? I mean, not many. Or at least shouldn't have by 3. The experience is being held, being fed, being changed. It's pretty much what you got. And like being played with somehow. Held, fucking rocked and, well, not shook. Whatever, you know? Those are the experiences of a 3-year-old. So let's start cramming their heads with gender shit. Because they have the capacity for it, just no experience. Nothing to, rationalize it in their fucking mind. No understanding. No possibility of understanding. But hey, it's there. Why? It just makes you look creepy. They're not going to remember you when they're 5. Certainly not when they're 8. You're very weird. It's like a thing that you're like a voyeur. It's like you want to just imagine all the kids that you're talking to. It's so weird. I don't know. I don't understand the point. I can't understand the reason why somebody would do this. Apparently she has total recall of every day of her life. Because I don't remember shit that I was doing when I was 3. Fucking not a bit of it.
The things that I think is really important is just, in addition to all the education stuff, is just normalizing.
Yeah.
Like, just having that to, like, exist as a thing that they see. I don't know, can you talk about a little bit about that?
I mean, it's also just, like, about making it fun, too.
Yeah.
Well, fun's not normal. So if you're trying to normalize it, you'd make it normal. If you're trying to make it fun, you're trying to make it appealing. For 3-year-old children. It's fucking weird.
Like, that's why I have, like, Teddy on. Like, that's my childhood toy. Mm-hmm. Like, that's, like, from when I was, like, a baby. And, and having, like, the songs and stuff and just making it something that, like, becomes something that's not, like, scary to talk about. A big part of, like, what I, like, the videos that I make is about starting a conversation between grown-ups and kids.
Well, I don't understand where it's your place to decide that I need to have that conversation with my 3-year-old. Fucking asshole.
And really making it like something that can be talked about like regularly, and, and if you have the vocabulary for it, you can integrate it into your life more, and point out like if you are watching like Beauty and the Beast, like and like that's like a very invisible moment that happens, and like I doubt that kids are like actually picking that up, and so you can have an adult like talk to the kid about like, did you see that moment? Let's talk about what happened there.
Did you see that moment where those 2 guys kissed? Yeah. What'd you think? Alright, good talk, son. Like, what? And what if they say, well, that's weird? What are you supposed to say? No, that's not weird. It's just some people do that. Not a whole lot of people, but some people do. And that doesn't make it weird. You okay? I still think it's weird. And then you go, well, fuck, I don't know. I guess you're a little bigoted prick.
Or like when a child has like same-sex parents, and like a lot of people are like, oh, how do I explain that to my kid? But then there are ways to do that, and they're like easy ways to explain it.
Yeah, and there's kind of 2 camps of it as well, of like making it visible and talking about it directly, but then also just allowing it to exist in your space and like not even talking about it. I mean, I think it's important for kids, especially in the climate that we're in. I think it's important to talk about.
Why? That's not normal. That's not normalizing shit. A kid sees a man and a woman kiss, and they're gonna go, what are they doing? They're kissing. Why are they kissing? Because they like each other. People kiss each other when they like each other. You kiss your mom and dad goodnight every night? It's because, that's more of an event kiss. Whatever. But we do it because we like you. So people that like each other sometimes kiss. So, okay. What about those 2 men kissing? They like each other. Oh, okay. Like, that's how you normalize shit. You don't sit down with them and go, well, sometimes men do that with each other. But it's not strange. Don't think it's strange. It's bad if you think it's strange. Because that's going to make them start wondering why it's so bad to think it's strange. And then they're going to think it's fucking strange. You just make it normal. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal for 2 men to kiss. Not me, but, whatever. And you go, hey, that's normal for them. And the kid will go, oh, And they won't question it from that point on because they have an adult saying that's normal for them. And then later on down the road, their little fucking friends are going to be like, no, that's weird because it's fucking gay. And then they're going to go, oh, well, that's fucking gay then. And what have you done? Nothing. Nothing. Because you're talking to a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. And they don't get it. And they don't care. Because they don't get it. And they go, it's either something I don't need to worry about or I'll fucking figure it out later on. I just want a toy. Like, sit a fucking 3-year-old down and talk to him about gay people. I'd rather spoon ants.
About it, but I want to live in a world where like nobody has to come out.
Yeah.
Like and
where it's just a thing. You're just like, oh, there are all of these people who are different, and that's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, you live in a world where people don't have to come out. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares anymore. They go, oh, and fucking nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. There's a gay guy at work, and fucking nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. He's a fucking dude, just like any other dude. Does he run his fucking line? Who gives a shit who he's fucking at home? That's the way the world works, man. Are you doing your job? Then I don't care. For the most part, there are people who care, but you just avoid them. You know?
Apparently, I've heard that kids these days are cluing in instead of coming out.
It's cluing in.
Cluing in is like letting people like in on like the fact that you're gay.
Oh, okay.
Rather than it being like, I'm gay.
So it's like, hey, do you know I'm gay? As opposed to, everybody, I'm gay. I actually like that a lot more. It's less of a dick move. You know what I mean? Like, why it always gotta be about you? Why can't you just be like, oh, no, I don't think she's hot, because I'd rather fuck her boyfriend. And then everybody goes, oh, and you go, that's right, and there you go. Life moves on. But if you make a giant fucking production about it, you have no reason to be upset when other people get upset. You have made a giant fucking production about it. So, yeah. Clue people in. Fuck the whole, let's all have a party because I've decided to tell everybody I'm gay. Fucking nonsense. Ugh.
And like big coming out of the closet moment
cool.
because it's not as big of a deal anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so they're like, I've seen some people criticize it and say that that's not appropriate for that age range, that you should be making content for an older age group, and I'm wondering how you would like respond to that.
So there's a lot of content that actually targets those age ranges already, and that's kind of where in most schools, it depends on where you are, but most schools like do start integrating sex ed in middle school and talking about these things in middle school and then in high school, obviously.
See, why is it about sex ed again, right? I thought it didn't have anything to do with sex. I thought you had no discussion with sex with these children, so why is the sex ed subject coming up again? Just wondering.
But for this age range, for elementary, preschool, that's essentially kind of where my content is targeting. There really just isn't any content at all for these age groups.
So essentially, I mean, maybe I'm just twisting her words, I don't know. But she's talking about sex ed classes being in middle school and high school, and then she rolls that straight into, and there's no content for kids of this age group. No sex ed content? There's a reason for that. Because we don't talk about sex with 3-year-olds. Because that's fucking weird. And if you're doing it, you're fucking weird. And you need to examine yourself. You need to look at the fact that you're talking to essentially, I mean, because we're going 3 to whatever, right? Her content's for everybody. So 3 to middle school. So 3 to, what is it, 8, 9, 10, whatever the fuck middle school age is. I don't fucking know. Those are the kids you're targeting. Under 10. Like, with the sex ed conversation. Or even if it doesn't have anything to do with sex. What the fuck?
And I think it's super important to target them because this is it's such a formative age where you're really like learning about the totality of what the world is and who exists in it.
Who the fuck was learning about the totality of the world and who lives in it at 3 or 5 or even 7? I wasn't concerned with the world and the people in it. I'm still not really concerned with the world and the people in it. Come on. You don't... That's some middle school, high school shit. It's like she's reaching for a really good reason.
And what the different categories are, and just building your whole structure of how the world functions. And if you're learning about that world in a way that is normative and like focused on, the majority, you're not getting a full picture of the world.
A lot of people go their whole lives and never have a full picture of the world. I'm sure there are people from all manner of countries that I've never met. And I'll never meet somebody from that particular country. But it's just... I don't even know. Like, it just sounds so weird when you're talking about this shit about children under the age of 10. Like, I don't want them to be concerned with this kind of shit. I want them to be kids. And if they go, hey, there's a kid with different color skin, you go, yeah? What's the point? Oh, it looks weird. Imagine how you look to him. Like, fuck it. Give him that kind of a fucking reality hit. But don't make them feel like little assholes if they think the wrong way. I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing I don't like. I think what it is, I don't like the whole fucking thing, so I just don't like the whole fucking thing.
And you're growing up in this kind of like false sense of like what the world is and is like and who exists in it, and that's where bigotry happens, and that's how you internalize homophobia, and that's how you get the people who like don't understand other marginalized identities because they don't understand that they exist and they don't understand that oppression exists.
Yeah, I certainly want to teach my 5-year-old about oppression. Because that's something I want him to fucking think about all the time. I mean, this oppression that you guys feel, it comes from within. So, I'm going to teach my child that oppression comes from within. And that nobody can oppress you unless you let them. So, don't do that dumb shit. Go out and be the best you can be. It's not a tough message to give. You know what I mean? Like, oppression doesn't really exist. It just doesn't. It doesn't anymore. All the things that happen wrong in your life, it isn't because white people do it to you. We don't just do bad shit just from existing. We aren't just vessels of evil energy that is just constantly radiating fucked up shit around us. It doesn't work that way. This oppression shit just fucking annoys me. It just annoys me. The idea that there's some invisible force keeping me down, go fuck yourself.
And you're talking, and especially, if you're growing up in a conservative space and you happen to be a queer person and you find that out later, like that's something you have to unlearn and work through a lot of internalized bigotry. And I think if you are talking to kids at this age, you avoid a lot of that because you're teaching them correctly.
I don't trust you to decide what is correct for my child. That's why I'm not having a child with you.
First time.
We're just teaching them that this stuff is normal and okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even that just it exists. Like, I don't think I knew growing up that trans people existed.
Yeah.
And so just knowing that was a thing would have made me feel so much better when I started to question my own gender.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of other people feel that way, especially as you were saying, if they grow up in like conservative spaces.
Yeah.
But I didn't even grow up in that conservative of a space. It was just like, oh, we don't really talk about it because it's like not a thing that you deal with unless like it directly affects you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it sounds to me like your family stuck to that bargain. And until it directly affected you, they didn't bother to talk about it. Because why the fuck would you bother to go into lengthy discussions about shit that may never happen to you? You know, like, I get it. If at a certain point in your life, all of a sudden you start having weird feelings and strange things happen, and you start thinking that maybe the life you're living isn't entirely the life that you fucking should be living. You know, I get that. I went through the same thing that every teenager goes through during puberty. Some people just have a rougher fucking ride. One of my friends never grew body hair. All the rest of us walk around with full leg hair and arm hair and chest hair and shit like that. Never grew body hair. Never. Ever. He had one chest hair. He was so proud of it. He showed me in gym class. He's like, I have one chest hair, dude. And I was like, that's cool. Let me see. And I grabbed it and yanked it out. Because I was a dick back then. But, you know, so shit went rough for him. He didn't like it. I don't know why. It was a weird thing with him. He didn't like the fact that he was hairless. I think it'd be great to be fucking hairless. I had too much goddamn hair on my body. And that was the fucking thing I went through in high school. You know what it's like to go through high school back hair? Huh? This fucking shit ain't comfortable. It makes you very self-conscious. And I was able to grow a full beard when I was a freshman. This is another weird thing. Like, so what do you want? Everybody goes through some shit. You went through some shit where you felt like you were a girl. Sucks. I went through some shit where I felt like I was never going to get a girl. And it happened. Whatever. Shit happens. But if people aren't accepting of you when you're a child, it's probably because kids are dicks. And no amount of teaching them about this shit is going to change them. You're just going to give them the ammunition for being dicks as opposed to their brothers or sisters or their friends. You're doing it now. Kids are going to watch your videos and go, look at this crazy lady. Let's all laugh at the crazy lady. And they're going to sit around and laugh at the crazy lady because you're such a fag. Like, that's... Kids are dicks. And they're always going to be dicks. To each other and to everybody else. Because that's what they do. They're still riding off the high of being a baby and being able to do whatever the fuck they want to do and not having anybody choke them to death. So they think they can pull that shit off for as long as possible till somebody beats their ass. And then all of a sudden, it isn't much fun to try and do whatever you want to do anymore because you get your ass beat for that shit. So, I don't know. Like, but getting them at 3, 4, 5, no. It's not gonna do anything. You're not doing anything. You're giving kids nightmares. Apparently, I saw that comment. Kid said that, or lady said that she couldn't let her kid watch it anymore because he was waking up with nightmares where he didn't know what he was. It's not shit they need to be concerned with. They don't need to learn about oppression. They're kids. They don't need to learn about racism. They're kids. Keep that shit away from them. Maybe they won't get it. You know? Like, let's just never discuss the fact that black people are different than white people. And then maybe my kid will grow up thinking there's no difference between black people and white people. The world will teach him differently, but the world is a scary place. And I'm not going to teach my 4-year-old that the world is a scary place. I don't know. It's so weird to me. Like, quit fucking with the kids. That's really all it is. Leave the kids alone, man. Let parents raise their children for good or bad. Fuck it. You know, if they're gonna raise shit children, they're gonna raise shit children. We're all gonna have to deal with it. But let people raise their kids, man. If they're really being bad, take their kids from them. But if they're just dumb about being a parent, if they still keep them well fed and clothed and with a home, but they're just not good at fucking talking to them, they're gonna raise kids that are weird, and they're gonna have to deal with that shit. But the world needs weird people. I'm sorry. If you think that I had a storybook upbringing that wound up bringing all this creativity into me, sadly you are wrong. No, it wasn't like that. I had fucking the same shitty childhood that everybody else did. I was picked on, and the way that I dealt with it was to make jokes out of it. And then I decided I wanted to hone my craft. And I honed my craft to razor fucking sharpness. Because that's how it works. Bitches.
Mm-hmm.